Alright, welcome back. So today, instead of our usual Slay the Spire fare, we are going to try out a little game called Shape of Dreams. Shape of Dreams is a roguelike action game where, well, similar to Slay the Spire, you try to traverse a couple of worlds and then fight bosses along the way, upgrade your character. So the general trappings will seem very familiar. It has a number of different characters, all of which encourage different play styles. I've already unlocked all of them. I've played with some more than others, and today we're not going to venture too far out of our comfort zone and actually play the character that we have played the most, namely Mist. You will see that all of these characters fulfill different roles. In Shape of Dreams, you can also play in co-op. So you can have a DPS damage dealer at range. You can add a tank. You can have a healer. And basically build a balanced party. We are simply going to go for a melee damage dealer. We already have unlocked all of the skills. We're not going to delve into this too far right now. We are basically all set up to do a run, and that is exactly what we're going to do. To make things a little easier, there is a deja vu mechanic. If you reach the final boss with some of your loadout, you can then select to have that loadout from the very beginning of the game. And we're simply going to go with a legendary essence that just makes our character a little stronger. This will cost us a couple of resources that we will probably acquire along the way. And yeah, we're just gonna get into a run, and I will try to explain things along the way. So here, we start our run, and we will pick up a couple of things. You see down here we have our basic skills. Some of them are bound to specific keys. And we have a basic attack, Astrid's Masterpiece, that we can just repeatedly use as our basic attack. But then we also have special abilities that we'll have a look at. And then you can also equip essences to the skills that you have that will alter some of the attributes and things like that. We will also pick up corrosive trails here, which will just leave behind a little trail of toxic gas that continuously deals damage to enemies. We are going to have a look at the map. So, we are currently here, and the goal is to escape through a portal after defeating a boss. We move through adjacent rooms and then just try to get there. However, we are also being hunted. So a couple turns in, a hunt will start right here and then spread out through the entire map. And we do not want to encounter that too frequently. So we're just gonna try to chart a course through here, and judging from how this map is set up, we're probably gonna briefly dip down here and then move back up and then tackle the boss from here. So we're just gonna go here and see what we can do here. And then in every single room, you'll just encounter enemies. Starts out very simple, just some basic spiders, and then as time goes on, encounters will get a little more challenging. You will notice that this is very much a game where the numbers will just go up, and that is exactly what you want. You want numbers to go up, and at the end of it, you're probably gonna lose sight of just like a lot of things that are going on, just because the entire screen will be cluttered with effects and everything. We picked up another ability, Glacial Stomp, a little frost ability. We're probably going to replace most of our abilities as the game goes on. So right now we're just using 2 skills basically. Although we do have more, it's really not necessary right now. We're using our basic attack and our Fletch ability, where we dash and do a little attack. and then potentially also restore some health if we kill an enemy. So yeah, just fighting some very basic enemies. Nothing too challenging here right now. And then we continue down the rift. None of these rooms have any special things. We'll see if we can come across one. Along the way, we'll also be collecting things like gold and stardust and some other things, resources that we can either spend during the run or after the run. Now in the bottom left, you'll see that sometimes my HP gets a little plus thing to the side. Our basic attack makes it so that the first three attacks against individual enemies deal 21 additional damage and grant me a barrier that fades over 1.5 seconds. So basically you add HP, temporary HP on top of your HP. And here we can see here that the hunt is going to start now. So we kind of just want to move up now so that we can take potentially all of these rooms before the hunt catches up with us. Right now we just want to do as many rooms as possible, gain some XP, level up our character. Now, in addition to all of our abilities that we're reusing, you will also see that I can dash. And we have 2 dashes, and the dash is just on a cooldown. So you see the bars at the bottom of my character. We can double dash, but then if we try again, we have to wait for the cooldown to finish. Alright, I'm gonna pick up another memory remnant. This is Winter Dive. We definitely want this, I think, over the Glacial Stomp. Alternatively, we could also replace our Corrosive Trails. It is already upgraded, however, having 2 cold skills could be useful depending on what our build is going to look like. So we're just going to do that to dismantle the Corrosive Trails, and we gain some Dream Dust for our trouble. And we are moving on. Alright, the presence of powerful monster can be felt. So there will be like a little mini boss in this area. Shouldn't be anything too challenging, but we might just showcase our ultimate abilities on that one. So our ultimate ability is Adrenaline. It makes us a lot faster, it makes us deal a lot more damage. Entirely unnecessary to use it here, but... So it resets the cooldown of my swift steps, makes my basic attack stronger, deals damage to nearby enemies, and for 12 seconds I gain 25% attack speed. Each attack triggers a lightning explosion, dealing 48 damage, and some other things. Gonna get another memory remnant, a repulsive shield. Blocks damage from enemies in front for 1.9 seconds. Each time damage is blocked, deals 128 damage to up to 4 enemies in front. I think we are not too interested in that. We're just going to dismantle that. And we also got a flawed essence of Aftershock. So these essences, again, we can equip to our memories, and then they will have different effects. So this one, casting this memory releases a delayed shockwave that deals 113 cold damage to enemies around and stuns them for 0.5 seconds. For each enemy hit by the shockwave, you gain 4 armor up to a maximum of 19 armor. When hitting a boss, you gain the maximum armor. This armor lasts until you cast this memory again. So we kind of want to look at something that has a low cooldown. So we're probably gonna go for the Perfect Flitch, because that one we can just use multiple times, and whenever we do, it will trigger this. And we also, because we defeated a mini-boss, gain a Chaos That is just something that will increase our one of our attributes. We're just gonna go for the attack speed. And then we are moving on. So, since we have already acquired a lot of just upgrades for this character, especially the early game at the base level difficulty, is going to be very, very easy. If you just start out, these fights will be a lot more challenging. But there is a lot of just building up characters in between runs, getting more powerful. So yeah, right now we're just chilling, we're running around, we're hitting things. We enjoy the particles. And the numbers going up, of course. So yeah, very, very easy. Here we have a shimmering well. At wells we can spend our moon dust to upgrade our abilities. Right now I'm mostly interested in upgrading the perfect fledge as much as possible. And we'll see why in just a second. So I just upgraded it to level 5. In the next room we will encounter a merchant. And here we can just spend some of the gold that we have acquired. Let's see if we're interested in anything. So we can either buy any of these 3 memories. I think right now we're okay on memories. These we might replace at some point, but none of these are very interesting. Or we could buy essences. The flawed essence of fever. We don't currently have anything that deals fire damage, so we're not too interested in that. However, I am quite interested in just picking up 2 chipped essences of the void. We'll buy these. Now, as you can see, they have currently have a quality of 30%, and if we pick up 2 of them, they will combine into a 60% essence. So, after casting this memory, your next attack will within 4 seconds explode, dealing 71 dark damage to the target and nearby enemies. Because we have 3 charges on our fledge, we're also going to put that on there. So each time we use this, and the next attack will just deal an additional 88 dark damage in a little area. Not super powerful, but a nice little bonus in the early game. Now we can see that the hunt is slowly encroaching, but we can still go a little to the left and then return without being in too much danger. All elemental damage is inverted in this room, meaning that all of our frost attacks currently deal fire damage. So as you can see now, our attacks actually burn our enemies a little. It really doesn't matter here. However, later, when you have some elemental synergies and stuff like that, this is something you definitely want to pay some attention to. Alright, the Hatred Remnant. So at the Hatred Remnant, you can gain an immediate reward, but you will be cursed. And curses can be just adverse effects that at some point, either by killing enough enemies or by traversing enough rooms, will then be removed. Right now I feel confident enough that we're just going to take the Potent Hatred. We have an Anchor of the Mind. That is a little annoying. So, as you can see, right now there is a little anchor following us. And we must not exit the radius or we will start taking damage. We will have to move across 4 rooms to remove it. So we are going to fight the boss with the anchor in place. So we're going to have to be a little careful. And in return we received 84 dream dust. Not a great reward, but I think we're gonna be fine. I feel confident that we can take on at least one hunt, plus I want to get rid of the anchor, so I'll just move ahead. And then we're just gonna have to travel backwards. And we're just gonna take this slow, because I don't want to move out of the anchor. So yeah, this is gonna make everything last a little bit longer, but nothing to worry about, really. Just slowly moving ahead. Let them come to us. Here we have an Enlightenment Remnant. At the Enlightenment Remnant, you will just receive 1 of 3 essences. So what do we have here? We can gain a flawed essence of charcoal. When this memory hits an enemy, it fires a charcoal shard, dealing 30 damage. If the target is already burning, it deals 50 fire damage instead. Not super interesting. We don't deal fire damage right now. We can just upgrade our Essence of the Void. That might be the most interesting thing here. And every 8 seconds is memory's cast is empowered. Yeah, just a little bit of bonus damage. I think right now... Sorry about that. I think right now we're simply going to go for the flawed Essence of the Void. Just upgrade that to 140. Now our attacks will deal an additional 132 dark damage. We have Shrines of Guidance. These can provide healing for money, but we don't need that right now. And then, as you can see, we're moving back, and we're actually going to have to fight the hunters in one of the rooms. So we're moving back to the merchant, and this area is now occupied by hunters. The game gives you a little warning when you try to do that. The first hunter fight usually isn't all that difficult. As you can see, the hunt thread in the upper right corner is at 1 right now. And so this really wasn't much of an issue. Once the hunt thread moves up to levels 3, 4, 5, you're gonna have a hard time with that. Alright, we get Shadow Walk. Quickly dash forward and fire 3 dark shards at nearby enemies. Each shard deals 48 damage and triggers 50% attack effects. So attack effects are what we have on our basic attack. So this will actually also do the barrier thing. So we are happy to take that instead of the Glacial Stomp, which we have not been using at all. And then we are going to move into the boss arena. We're gonna have to be mindful of our anchor here, so take it nice and slow. We're fighting Belphamit. And we are done fighting Belphamit. Once again, we're powerful enough because of all the in-between character upgrades that we did between runs, that the first couple of areas will not give us any trouble. But you can technically just have an infinite run, because you can just keep repeating things over and over again, and things will get more difficult. Each boss will drop a soul, which is just a free upgrade for any ability. So that is really why you're encouraged to focus maybe on one ability first, so that you can basically gain the most free moon dust out of an upgrade like that, dream dust. And then you also gain a bunch of stardust, and stardust is the resource that you can spend between runs. And then we're going to move deeper. Alright, we have to move one more room for the Anchor of the Mind to disappear. Excited to be rid of it, because it makes things just a little annoying. It doesn't provide really much of a difficulty, it's just making things a little more annoying. So, here. The room layout is a little more complex this time around. We can move around a little. I'm thinking maybe we go here, then we go down, and then we kind of just try to move around here, and then see how many rooms we can do here before the hunt encroaches. So the question really is, do we want to do one more room here? I think we're going to go to this one and then just move down and then to the left, because that'll give us a bit of extra time here on the left-hand side. So we're going to start here. We're rid of our anchor. So now we can do things at a pace that we enjoy. And as you can see, the enemies are getting a little more tanky, but I'm sure we can pick up some things that'll make things just a little easier for us here. And I mean, we still haven't taken basically any damage, so right now we're okay. A concept remnant. Okay. The chipped essence of regeneration. If this memory is cast in combat, it restores your health by 40 over 5 seconds. I'm happy to pick one up here. We're gonna just, once again, slot it into our fletch, because that is the one that we're using most often. And we're just gonna move the Essence of Perfection, which just makes us more powerful regardless of where we slot it, over here into the determination. Alright, and then we're moving down. And yeah, the bread and butter of this game is just a very satisfying, crunchy, hack and slashy kind of thing, as you can see here. It's not very tactical, but it is very satisfying. Another concept remnant, and here we will gain a flawed essence of accuracy. When this memory deals damage to a distant enemy, it fires an additional projectile that deals 40% damage, and the damage dealt by the projectile shares the elemental type with the original damage. Right now we don't really have anything that deals damage to distant enemies, because all the things we have is are like very close by. We're just gonna slot it into our dash thing. And then next up we will go to this place where there is a very strong smell of lizard. So this means that there is a souvenir merchant here. And souvenir merchants, similar to regular merchants, have some goods for sale, and sometimes you can also find things like a memory remnant there. The Ice Claw. Swing your claw forward to deal 115 cold damage to enemies and stun them for 0.5 seconds, and you can swing once more to deal 215 cold damage and stun for 1 second. And when your claw hits the enemy, restore 12% health based on the damage dealt. I don't mind having one of these. We can just kind of work that into our combo chain. So we can just attack, do an Ice Claw, do another Ice Claw. It just works with the way that we're always in the enemy's face anyway, and we haven't really upgraded our Shadow Walk yet, so... And then we're just gonna move the essence over here. Let's see what the souvenir merchant has to sell. We can obtain a random common memory or common essence, not too interesting, a blue elixir, but I am interested in this totally real treasure map. A crumpled scrap of paper with crooked handwriting. Real treasure. Promise. It's stained with mysterious green slime. I choose to believe that this is a real treasure map. And this will point out a treasure to be found on the map. So over here, that's a room we definitely want to visit, because there might be treasure here. So we're definitely going to hit this room. So that means we're going to go here, then here, then here, and then probably up here, and then see how many rooms we can still do here. Probably most of them, honestly. Next room will have a Shrine of Guidance and a well, so we can upgrade the fletch just a little more. And powerful enemies We don't mind that. We are fine with that. As you can see, we are plenty powerful ourselves. Alright. We have a chipped essence of charcoal. When this memory hits an enemy, it fires a charcoal shot. We've seen this before. It doesn't really matter where we put it right now. We're just gonna put it on the ice claw because we can use that twice. And then we get some chaos. We can increase memory haste. That just basically lowers the cooldown of our abilities. We can gain a little bit of maximum health, or we can increase our armor. I'm just gonna increase our armor. Some survivability is always good. And then we are going to upgrade this one twice, 3 times. Yeah, then we're all set. Alright, onwards we go. There's another well in the next area. Probably just gonna ignore that, or maybe upgrade one of our maybe our attack ability. So yeah, as you can see, we're just cruising here. Now there is a few satisfying ability combos. If we happen to get them, I'll definitely be using them and point them out. Alright, Remnants of Luck. So, the Remnants of Luck will offer us a random selection of items, but we can pray and surrender some of our gold to gain a little more. I think we're gonna do that once and then see what we can get. Alright, we have 3 abilities: Swift Slash, Mass Protection, and Teal Blade. Potentially we could do that instead of the Winter Dive, but I do like the Winter Dive quite a bit because it also helps us avoid incoming attacks. So I think we're just going to take the Chipped Essence of Sharpness. Pretty weak, but that's okay. We're just going to put it here. It's just going to add a little bit more chip damage to all of our attack chains. Next up we'll have a Merchant, so maybe I shouldn't have spent my money here. Do we want to go up here? I think so. That allows us to acquire a little bit more money to then later visit the Merchant with. So, the worlds are by and large randomized. We'll upgrade our Astrid's Masterpiece here. The worlds in general are randomized in as much as the map is random, but also when you enter a new act or a new land, you will choose between 2 or 3 options, I think. The first one will always be the woods, but anything after that, there is a little pool of places that you can go to. The Maw of Doom. The Maw of Doom allows us to empower one of our abilities. The first one is free, so we're always going to empower the Fledge. Now, if we want to empower something else, we have to pay money, and there is an increasing chance that whatever we empower will be destroyed. We don't want to take that chance too often, but it is an opportunity to upgrade something that you're not very invested in, or to take a chance and upgrade something you're invested in, and sometimes lose it and ruin your entire run. Here, I think we're fine. I think we're not taking that chance, but it is very funny to do. Alright, next up, we will enter the room with the potential treasure map. And there will also be a hatred remnant here. So once again, an opportunity for us to gain some resources. Alright, we have the hatred remnant, and once again, we are going for potent hatred. Unless we're... Alright, our health is not displayed. We don't care about that one bit. We're never taking enough damage right now for that to matter. And then we gain the phase shift. Swaps positions with an ally or enemy target. If the target is an enemy, deals 184 damage and briefly stuns them. Unstoppable targets such as bosses will not be swapped. Shortly after, a shockwave erupts, pulling in nearby enemies and dealing 124 damage. So what I said earlier about the winter dive, probably something similar could be said about the phase shift. It allows us to swap positions. I haven't tried this one yet, so I think I'm just gonna try it out. Yeah. And then we're just gonna dismantle the winter dive. Let's see what we can find in this stash, though. Sneeze +6. The memory of a massive, refreshing sneeze releases a powerful sneeze forward. This memory is completely useless. Achoo. 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 That's these treasures for you, but we can dismantle it for 30. And of course it's not entirely useless, honestly. Yes, it doesn't do anything, but it has a very low cooldown. Therefore, if you can equip this with essences that only care about the ability being used, you can actually make this somewhat useful. But we're going to dismantle it. Alright. We have 2 merchants here, actually. I think what we're going to do is we go here, and then we're just kind of going around. So we're going to start with a merchant. Alternatively, we could go here, then do this. Actually, yeah, we're going to go here. Because if this merchant has hunters in the room, we will actually go there, because that just means we get something for free. Okay, sometimes you enter these distant memories. And when you do, all enemies will be entirely passive, and you find these little things. And then you smash them up, and you gain some corrupted chaos. You can commune with a gruesome amalgam. And that will give you particularly strong enhancements. So, we can either just increase our movement by 5%, our memory haste by 5, that's pretty decent. If we wanted to go deeper into a cold build, then we can do Frigid Scorn, or vice versa with a burn, we could go for Blazing Passion. Here, because we don't do a lot of cold stuff, we're just gonna go for the one that is generically useful. Alright, and then we are going to go visit this merchant. Alright. Flawed Essence of Epiphany. Upon casting this memory, your ability power increases by 20%. If this memory is an ultimate, 70% of its cooldown is instantly refunded. That is quite interesting. I'm also interested in this chipped Essence of Wind, because just increasing our attack speed by 25% is pretty good. I'm not interested in any of these. I think I'm just gonna go for these 2. And I will put it on the claw. And now our Fine Essence of the Void is at 170%. We're moving on, and now, as we can see, the merchant has left this place, leaving behind a little backpack, and hunters are entering this area. So we're gonna kill the hunters, we're gonna take the backpack, and then we're gonna make our way to the boss. So, as we can see, the threat level has increased to level 2 now. Now we'll see that sometimes these little meteor showers will rain down. Alright. A chipped Essence of Snow. Gain a barrier of 28 that recharges if you avoid damage for 5 seconds. While the barrier is active, periodically launch a snowball at a random nearby enemy, dealing 34 cold damage. The larger your barrier, the quicker it fires. Okay. We are going to just put that on... What are we gonna put that on? I suppose we can... We can just throw that on here. And then just move the charcoal shard over here. Then we're moving on. Now as we can see, hunters are also entering this area. So this might already be a little more difficult now. Now we're at level 3, so we have to be a little careful because now we also get those big meteor strikes. And enemies are just dealing a fair bit of damage now. This is kind of what you can be expecting from the later game anyway. A lot going on. A lot of things to dodge. A lot of things on screen to be mindful of. Luckily right now it's all still fairly manageable. Alright, we have a couple of things. We have a Shrine of Dismantling. We can give up some health to gain some resources. We're just gonna do that here. That's fine. 55 gold for 25% of our health. That's just fine. And we're just gonna activate this Remnants of Luck. We can gain a Chipped Essence of Contempt. That's pretty alright. Or either of these abilities. I'm not super interested in them. I'll just take this Essence. This memory deals more damage as the target's health decreases, up to a 35% increase when their health is at 20%. So it's just going to be stronger, especially in boss battles. That's going to be useful. We're just going to put it here for now. And then we have a fairly difficult hunter room coming up. Let's see how that goes. We really want to avoid being hit by the large explosions. At this point, enemies will also start inflicting status effects on us, such as delusional. So yeah, but that was fairly manageable. The flame jet. Unleash a stream of flame for 2.5 seconds. Enemy hit by these flames take 266 fire damage per second. I'm not a huge fan of these things because you can't do anything while they are triggering. So you're just kind of slow. Maybe dealing a lot of damage, but you could deal so much more damage if you just kind of weave together all of your other things. So we're just gonna get rid of that. And then we are moving to the boss. No need to heal, so we're just gonna head right in. Big fire guy. Alright. Big fire guy does big fire guy things. And then at 50% HP, we'll raise these pillars that make it immune. Then we have to quickly smash them up. And then we're murdering him. Once again, we're pretty powerful right now. Not because we're playing particularly well, but just because that is how the early game turns out. I can see that being like an issue if you like really value balance, but you can adjust the difficulty. Right now we're just basically playing on the preset difficulty, and that is just making things super easy. We could make things significantly more difficult for ourselves. So here we're at the Whispering Lotus Plateau, and we basically just can do a couple of rooms here, and then move through this path. Which rooms do we want to do? Let's see here. We do want to do, I think, there's small souls here that we can do. They're part of a mini quest that we can do in this act. Let's see, how are we gonna do this? We kind of want to move maybe around like, well, however we do it, it's not gonna be ideal. I think we're just gonna forego all of this to the side and just move through these rooms. 1 memory for each character has its cooldown reduced by 8. So right now, everything except of our Ice Claw is on a massive cooldown. However, our Ice Claw has basically no cooldown at all. This is only for this specific room, but it just means that we're basically just gonna Ice Claw the entire time. It doesn't really change much about our strategy. We're just dashing from enemy to enemy and Ice Clawing everything in our path. Yep. Very straightforward. The Altar of Impermanence, I'm not 100% sure what this does. I think it may empower the boss, so you get different bosses depending on how many of these activate. I think. Don't quote me on that. The Chipped Essence of Confidence, increased damage to nearby enemies. Now that's quite useful. Definitely more useful than the one that deals more damage to far away enemies. Do we even still have that? Oh yeah, it's here. So we are probably just gonna move some things around. 28%. So that's just a 28% damage increase to anything that basically deals melee damage. So I think we can probably move this over here. We're not super interested right now in the healing. We have enough barrier and whatnot, so let's try this. And then we're gonna go up here. That was one powerful monster. The Flawed Essence of Vortex, it just sometimes shoots a fireball. We're just gonna put it on our ultimate, that's fine. In this Chaos, I think we're just gonna increase our armor. Once again, more survivability. We're dealing plenty of damage, so we're fine. Another small soul. And another Shimmering Well. We're just going to improve our basic attack. We're always going to use it. We're also always going to use the Fledge. So those are the two that we're going to focus on for now. 2 merchants. We can skip one of them, so we can just go here. We don't have that much gold. We have a bit. We can gain more Essences of Confidence. We can actually afford 2 of them. Is anything else interesting? When you kill an enemy, the cooldown of this memory is reduced by 0.8 seconds. That's not bad for the Fletch because, well, we're going to be killing enemies left and right. But I think we're just going to do this. Alright, then we're going to pick up a 3rd small soul. Come on. There we are. We don't have any moon dust right now. And it might not be noticeable, but every now and then we're leveling up. Right now we're leveling level 11, and each level up just improves our abilities a little bit. Gives us more HP, gives us more attack, stuff like that. So that's why just taking on regular rooms is also always still worth it, because you're just gonna collect some experience. Flawed Essence of Ricochet. The damage or healing of this memory has a 34% chance to ricochet to another nearby target, dealing 75% damage or healing. If it's damage, it shares the elemental type with the original damage. That's not too bad, I think, on this thing. So, moving on. Alright, and then we're gonna just travel along the line down here. I will say that the colors of this game are really popping. I'm not 100% sure about just the if there's any complexity really to the builds and the runs and everything, but just in terms of spectacle and in terms of colors, it's just really beautiful. I like this. This red sun reflection in the lake just moving along with you. Yeah, so just very strong in terms of style. This room smells of lizard. We love to see a souvenir merchant. Let's see what we get here. The Bone Crusher, I'm not interested. Here's what that does. I'll just showcase it real quick. It stuns us for a long time and doesn't really justify, you know. It's not really, no, it's not just not good. I've not had a good time with that. Let's see. We can reveal the current world and display most secrets. We can just gain some dream dust, or we can increase our ability power by 30% for the next 4 rooms. I think we're just gonna buy some dream dust, honestly. And then we're just gonna keep on traveling. Alright, another room clear. Not too much going on right now. We're just kind of collecting some experience, hoping to maybe pick up something to replace the phase shift with, because we're not really utilizing that much. But maybe here we'll pick something up. And as you can see, the Fledge alone absolutely decimates basic enemies and basic bosses. We're gonna go here for Memory Haste. Okay, the Flawed Essence of Adventure. Whenever you move to a new place, increase the quality of another essence equipped to this memory by 10% and gain 17 gold. We definitely want to put this somewhere here, because that potentially might improve our perfection. And we are just gonna dismantle the Flawed Essence of Accuracy. Let's see what we get here. Pressure Point, close range damage and knockback. Release energy from the palm, dealing 187 damage and pushing back all enemies hit, stunning them for 1 second. If the target is unstoppable or collides with a wall, deal an additional 524 damage. I think we're gonna take that over the phase shift, just because we can just do a lot of melee attacks this way. Alright. We can transcend. Let's have a look here. I'll accelerate the time. That'll make the room go a little faster. So yeah, sometimes you just get effects like this. Randomly in rooms. We're not going to spend any money here. We're just going to activate. Oh, I was hoping we got the Flame Lash. Unfortunately, we didn't. Blink, though, also not uninteresting. Now this I'm very interested in. As... Oh, I'm also interested in this. Damn, that's pretty good. Do we have the space for any of these? Maximum health at 229. His memory's damage increased by 1% for every 70 points. So we would have around 1,607. So that's like over 20% damage increase. It's probably more than this. Let's just pick this up and see what we can put it on. We do, of course, want to put it on the Fletch. So maybe we're just gonna get rid of the Fine Essence of the Void and put that on something else instead. Namely, potentially this. Altar of Transcendence. Here we can transcend our memories or our essences, meaning they improve one level in rarity. So we could spend 58 to make this into a rare memory. Let's just try it. Blade Storm summons a Blade Storm that lasts for 4 seconds in the target area. The Blade Storm rapidly slashes, dealing 89 or 112 damage, whichever is higher, to enemies every 0.5 seconds, and it follows the nearest enemy. That's okay. Let's do it again. Winter Dive. Okay, well, we're back on the Winter Dive. That's whatever. It's fine. We tried to get something fun, and we're just back. That's okay. Winter Dive isn't bad. We've touted its virtues earlier. Gives you some maneuverability. We'll take it. We find another chipped essence of charcoal. Not interested. And here we can, I think, take all of the rooms and then go to the boss. Alright, moving on. So yeah, you really enter a little flow state with this game at some point where you're like moving around, pushing the buttons, maneuvering yourself just a little bit, and just enjoy the crunchiness of hits and everything. Very satisfying sound effects, I have to say. All right. One more room, and then we're gonna go to the boss. We'll be fighting a little mini-boss here. And it's dead. Another remnant of luck. We already have this. We're gonna pick up some chaos. We can increase the level of a memory by 2. That's pretty good because that is 2 levels on this. But I think we're just going to increase our maximum health. Going up to 2,000. And with the Flawed Essence of the Giant, that puts us at 30% increased damage on this. So, let's see what we got here. Hemorrhage and Chipped Essence of Sharpness and Chipped Essence of Shatter. None of these are very interesting. Could take Hemorrhage over the Winter Dive, potentially. But I think we're just gonna dismantle it here and move to the boss. And here is a wooden doll. This is actually one of the characters that you can unlock. If you deliver 3 souls here, you can reawaken it. But you also just gain some Stardust, so even if you've already unlocked the character, which we have, you're still incentivized to pick up those souls, just for a tiny little reward. Alright, let's go to the boss. White Knight. So this is one of, I think, 3 bosses that you can actually face here, depending on, I think depending on how many of those altars you activate. Oh, actually, we might just be fighting both of them because we activated, yes, all of those altars. So that is very interesting. That is the first time that has happened. So we gotta be a little careful here. As you can see, this is actually a little dangerous. All right. We do, however, have a ton of damage. So here we just dodge all of these attacks, and then we can take care of Dark Move. Alas, currently invisible. Alright, that takes care of that. And that just upgrades our pledge by 2 levels, and we gain the double the amount of Stardust. So yeah, if you end up activating all of the altars in this act, you will actually fight a much stronger version of this boss. It didn't seem very challenging here, but maybe don't do that on your very first run, or you might get massacred. All right, this is the final world. It's always going to be this one, and after that we have one more boss to take care of, or we could just play in perpetuity. We're not going to do that. We are going to try to take on the final boss right after we have traversed this Isle of Despair. I'm still interested in getting rid of my winter dive. We'll see if it happens. If not, I don't mind just clawing and fletching my way to victory. Alright. Some options here. Each time this memory hits an enemy, your attack speed increased by 10%. That's pretty good. This memory deals 65% increased damage to enemies affected by cold, slow, root, or stun. That's also pretty good because we have that cold damage. Or gain a barrier of 10 that lasts for 2 seconds. If it deals cold damage, this effect is increased by 80%. Also, not bad at all. I think we might want to go for the one with the highest quality. Then we just have to find a good spot for it. So our Ice Claw does cold damage, therefore, and as does this, therefore our enemies will be afflicted by cold most of the time. I think we're gonna put it potentially here, and then we're gonna move that somewhere over here. But what are we gonna change? Is it just the attack speed? Or is it the barrier? Well, well, well. Here we are getting into trouble. I think we're just gonna get rid of this. And then move on. Where do we actually want to go? Well, since we moved up here, I guess we're moving through here. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. I don't think we have to spend too much time here. Yeah. Oh, we moved down. Okay, well, then I guess we're going down then. We have a lot of moon dust that we want to spend. So yeah, we can quickly see what the damage is. So on a regular hit without slow affected, it's around 1,820. And yeah, with it, it's gonna be around 2,000. So definitely an upgrade. Now we definitely want to avoid running into any hunters, so we really should not linger for too long. We're still gonna take on this, where enemies are more powerful but rewards are also higher. Then let's have a look at the retrospection remnant. Okay, here we can get some reasonably upgraded things. I don't mind lightning dance. Static discharge. Hold to charge up lightning, gaining 55 armor when released. Detonate the lightning to deal 253 to 1,314 light damage to enemies based on charge time. I think we're gonna take the lightning dance. And we are gonna equip it en lieu of the winter dive. The nice thing about the lightning dance is that it just gives us a brief period of invulnerability, as we'll see, during which our cooldowns can also recharge. So we can just do cooldown, 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 then we hop into a thing with a lightning dance, and then our cooldown is already ready. Alright. Yeah, and here we can see the kind of chaos that this game just devolves into the further in you get. You just kind of try to avoid anything that is like a red thing. And as long as you do that, you're probably going to be fine. What do we have here? Shadow Overdrive. Channel for 0.0 seconds to increase movement speed by 46% after channeling launches 5 homing missiles deal dark damage and grants you 36% increased attack speed for 3 seconds. So I think we're not super interested in that. Honestly, the Ice Claw is falling off a little, but it's fine. Let's just move on. Are we moving here? Here, yeah. We do want to find a place to spend some of this money, but there will always be an opportunity before the final boss, so... A pot of greed. We're gonna take it. This just gives us a shit ton of gold right now. And then at some point we will get a more difficult encounter. But we don't mind getting into difficult encounters, I think. Concept remnant once again. Okay, this is interesting. We could make one of our abilities into a fire ability. Is this something that we're interested in? Honestly, I think it's probably better than restoring a tiny bit of health right now. And then we are moving on. That. All right. We can just increase our attack speed by 20%. That sounds great. Let's see what we get here. We don't want the flawed essence of sharpness right now. Moving on. We're just cruising. Oh yeah, here we get the challenge of greed, meaning enemies will just be more plentiful, more powerful. I don't think we're gonna have a very hard time with that, frankly. If anything, we appreciate the rewards. We don't want this. We will increase our memory haste. We don't need more healing. We're going to improve our memory haste. And we get a better Ice Claw. Sure. We are going to visit the lizard. See if there's anything good that we can buy there. And we're always gonna get some stardust, some gold. So whenever you see the lizard somewhere, even if you don't have money to spend, probably a good idea to drop by, because you're always gonna get something like this. A good amount of dust, a good amount of gold, and some stardust. Let's see here. None of this is super interesting. I mean, we could actually do the blue elixir and just go straight to the final boss. I think maybe that's just what we're gonna do. We're probably gonna be traveling more than 4 times, but I think at this point, we might as well just kind of move along. Do we not want any of these? Sparkling Water Gun, Glacial Stomp. They really want to give us this Glacial Stomp. Or a Teal Blade. Nothing too interesting here. So we're just gonna combine this. Could of course also visit the merchant, but I think we're just gonna make it straight to the boss here. I don't see any reason to linger. Yeah, we're gonna get a little more powerful, but let's just see if we can't defeat the final boss as we are. There we go. And now we can spend all of our delicious dust. leveling up our Fledge to level 22. We're gonna put a little bit in here. Then we're moving on. And we are going to go deeper. Alright, one more boss. And then we can move to the final area. This boss, pretty simple. We are at a point where we can just burst down most bosses anyway. And here we just take out the pillars. And then once we do, Azrak is gonna come back, and we're just gonna kill it. And now we can either go somewhere deeper, which would basically just restart the game into like a little new game plus kind of thing, or we enter the Rift of Beginnings, and that is just what we're going to do, putting us on track for the final boss. And here we have one more opportunity to spend our money and do some things. We can still spend 140, so we're just gonna go for 2 upgrades here. And then we can see if we can buy anything. The Superior Divine Faith. Each time you kill an enemy with this memory, well, that's just not gonna happen anymore. This would have been great to pick up early on. Well, this is also not interesting. None of these are very interesting, interestingly enough. Yeah, I don't think we need any of these. We can upgrade Lightning Dance. No, it's the same. So we can actually just see if we can transcend a few things with all the money that we have. Let's just do it with the Lightning Dance. Searing Charge, quickly slash through enemies with a flaming sword, dealing 126 fire damage and additional 504 fire damage, and damage with movement speed. That's pretty good. If an enemy is killed by this damage, the cooldown is reset. Not gonna happen. It's fine. Glacial Hammer, Crimson Lance. Oh, this is nice, actually. An Arrow Storm. For 6 seconds, increase attack speed by 24% and movement speed by 10%. During this time, each attack fires 3 arrows. That's fine, that's good. And this has depleted the shrine. Is there anything we want here? Honestly, not really. So, we're just gonna move along. Nothing to do here. Well, we can use this Blessed Shrine of Guidance. It will restore our health. Give us some Dream Dust. I guess we can... spend that dust right here. And then let's go to the final boss. Very pretty. Well, let's knock. Oof, rude. Alright, final boss time. Primus. As you can see, we deal quite a good amount of damage. It's not over yet, but we're on a good track. Just dodging some fireballs and whatnot. Or being hit by some fireballs, that's also fine. Alright. Okay, we have one more phase to contend with. I think this final battle really showcases the design philosophy of the game. It's a mess, but it's a beautiful mess. And that is that. We have successfully finished a run. If that seemed easy to you, it was. The challenge really comes from increasing the difficulty, from taking maybe some characters that you haven't really fully mastered yet, and also just trying out and having some fun with different memories and different essences. And there is a surprising amount of playstyle variety depending on which character you choose. And also on like what kind of essences you get. There is a fair amount of complexity there. And I think if you increase the difficulty and go to harder difficulty levels, there is a lot of theory crafting to sink your teeth into. That being said, you can ignore all of that. As you can see, I did not pay too much attention to like what I got and how those things synergized. And it was still a lot of fun to go through this. There is just a lot of there's just a lot to love here. It's very crunchy, it's very satisfying, the numbers go up. Runs take, as you can see, around an hour start to finish. Your early runs might not be quite as successful, but there's just a lot of, a lot of things to try out. And also a surprising amount of variance that comes from different bosses, different areas. That being said, there is, in terms of enemy variety, all of them feel very, very similar, right? Because none of them stay alive for long enough to really present much of a challenge. They all do like 1 or 2 attacks, usually like an AoE thing or a little jump thing or what have you. And you just kind of try to dodge everything and kill things. But yeah. If you like what you saw here, definitely give this game a look, because I'm having a wonderful time with it. I'm just jumping in every now and then, doing a run here or there, and just building up my characters, trying out different characters, and yeah. I haven't tried co-op yet, but I imagine that this, with like a friend, is just going to be a wonderful time to just kind of blast through this. Yeah, so... yeah, hope you enjoyed this. I'll definitely be returning to Slay the Spire soon, but I will also drop in like a couple of these videos every now and then just to showcase a game that I think is neat. And I definitely think Shape of Dreams is a very neat game. Alright, I will see you next time. Don't forget to share, to like, subscribe, all of those things, and yeah, see you soon.